Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Helen the Russian here. A bit of a random topic for today's video, but I genuinely want to hear opinions. By all means, please leave your opinions below, because I'm really curious as to how people perceive certain things these days. Sexual harassment and what it means today in relation to everyone, men, women, co-workers, random strangers. Things are very obviously not what they used to be, 10, 20, 30 years ago. We're definitely not in Kansas anymore, so to speak. Anyhow, so for starters, Me Too movement, while I wholeheartedly support it, I do believe in certain cases it went way OTT. To a point where people, both men and women, are quite unsure how to act or how to perceive certain things. And more, because it's talked about quite a lot in the media, everywhere pretty much, internet, you come across it all the time, you think about it more clearly. And so I have been thinking about things that I do and say to other people, and that's very honest God's truth. I never want to be a hypocrite. I try to practice what I preach. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way and I catch myself doing it, but generally, yeah, that's what I try to do. And while I never want to be harassed, and I've been harassed plenty, and I know what it feels like, I don't want to unwittingly harass anyone else either. Because honestly, it's a two-way highway. I talked about it with Greg, the wise guy. Hi, Greg. And he was kind of laughing. He's like, oh, yeah, it's not really two-way highway and whatnot. Meaning he was saying it's skewed for the benefit of women these days. And he's kind of right. Like I said, in certain cases, I do feel things kind of went OTT. But let's talk about specific examples. And then, like I said, I do want to hear comments and I want to hear examples from your life. So today I went to the post office, the main post office, J.W. Brown facility is the closest to my house. I always go there. I've been going there since I moved in the area, which was 24 years ago. So all the workers in there, well, not all of them, now they have some younger ones, but majority of them, they've been working in there longer than I have lived here. I know them by name. I chat with them every time I go there. For Christmas, I bring them all little presents. And one particular guy, Nelson is his name. He's really funny. We have really funny chats. So today, I wasn't at his counter, but as I was leaving, I saw him. So I gave him a little wave, and then I went just like that. And then as I'm walking away, I go, wait, did I just sexually harass Nelson? No, I'm serious. I really am. I want to hear the opinions. He clearly didn't get offended. I'm sure he took it as a nice little compliment. Actually, he probably didn't think twice about it. But, you kind of have to catch yourself these days. Like I said, two-way highway. I believe in fairness. I really do. Then yesterday, I'm looking through my Twitter feed, and I have LVMPD on my Twitter feed, and they posted this video of a memorial run that started, I believe, on Wednesday, and it goes all the way to Carson City, and it's in memory of fallen officers. So, serious subject, yes, it's a great event. I made a serious comment, thanking police for what they do in protecting us. But then I put PS, and I did write on a lighter note, nice cuffs on the sheriff. Well, he does have nice cuffs, and I meant it as a compliment. It clearly, the guy doesn't miss any leg days in the gym. That much is obvious. And like I said, I meant it as a compliment. And I tweeted it, and then a few hours later, I didn't even give it a second thought, but then I thought, geez, did I objectify the sheriff? Is it considered harassment? I'm serious. I really am. Now, on the other side of the coin, from a woman's standpoint, like I said, I know definitely when I've been harassed versus when someone genuinely just either making a conversation or paying a genuine compliment. And a good example would be from 2 weeks prior, both of the events happened while I was standing in line at 99-cent store, so they're easy to compare. And yeah, I go to 99-cent store quite a bit. So anyhow, so the first one, which I perceived as nice, genuine conversation, I was standing in line, 99-cent store, ready to pay, and I had 15 bottles of a particular spot remover that's really excellent. Truly, my girlfriend wanted me to buy her quite a bit because her 99-cent store ran out. So as I'm standing in line, the guy standing behind me, he looked at my card, he goes, "That stain remover is awesome, isn't it?" I go, "Yeah, it is." And so we had a bit of a conversation about what kind of stains it removes, what kind of great value it is, and it is, because generally if you look online, that stain remover is $5 to $6, and you buy it 99 cents, exactly same bottle. And so it was a genuine conversation, like two strangers just making a small talk, nothing to it. And in fact, the woman in front of me, they overheard us talking, and she wanted to know, she goes, "You guys sound like an infomercial." And so I ended up giving her one bottle of that. So like I said, nothing special about it. No one was feeling harassed, least of all me. And then we went all our separate ways. Now, a few days later, I'm standing in line, 99-cent store, a different store now. And I got in line, and there was a guy ahead of me. And I just pulled my card, and I'm just standing there quietly, minding my own business. So he turned around like that, he saw me. And then, and I am not exaggerating, I'm not trying to be dramatic, he literally, because I was wearing these very glasses, which is part of the reason I'm wearing for this video, because see, one cannot see my eyes, meaning the direction of my gaze is quite unclear. So he literally went like that, trying to get in my line of vision, what he thought was my line of vision. I could see him just fine before. And he goes, "Your hair is purple. My hair is red." Now he's all American. And I'm just looking at him. He goes, "Ha ha ha, just say hi." And he again got like that in my face. And see, that, I wouldn't say harassment, but it was definitely unwanted attention, comment, whatnot. So just deadpan, I look at him and I go, "You have a penchant for standing the obvious." And again, he goes, "Oh, ha ha ha, where are you from?" And I really didn't want to talk to him, and I thought it was pretty obvious at that stage. And yes, he kept pressing, he started guessing the countries, and I'm just shaking my head. He goes, "Well, say something in your native language and I'll know." And I go, "I'm not so inclined." Just like this. At this stage, any fool would know I really don't want to talk to him. And he said something else, and I go, "I'm from here, finally." I said, "I've been here for 25 years, and I'm willing to bet probably longer than you have." And he goes, "Yeah, you're right about that. I'm from Arizona." And I'm thinking, and I'm just standing in a deadpan, not talking to him. And so he kept talking, and finally, thankfully, blessedly, the cashier finished his transaction. He had to pay. And then he said something else. I can't remember, something about, I honestly can't remember, because I really was trying to ignore him. Now, see, two events, completely different, and in my mind, they are clear. One was perfectly innocuous conversation, like normal human beings would have over whatever subject, and another one was decidedly unwanted attention. So, bottom line of this whole thing, I don't want to be like that second guy towards anyone, towards women, towards men. Oftentimes, it's perceived that when women compliment women, it's just an innocuous compliment. And when men say something, it might be perceived as harassment or unwanted attention. Well, here is another interesting twist to this. I date both men and women. People may not know that. In fact, I don't really advertise. I don't make it a secret, but I don't necessarily go around, telling people that. So very often when I'm driving for rideshare, I compliment women, and I compliment them genuinely. Besides, I know you can tell when it's nice to hear a pleasant compliment, and so women never get offended. I compliment men on occasion, usually when they wear particularly nice cologne. I'm sensitive to smells, and some of them just ugh. But some of them I say, "Oh, hey, you smell nice. I like that scent. What's the name of it?" and whatnot. And as of yet, as far as I know, no one got offended. But here is the thing. Like, for instance, I was giving a ride to this young lady. She was probably in her mid-20s. pick her up downtown. She was going to the Bellagio, clearly to attend some sort of party, event, dinner, whatnot. I mean, she was dressed a certain way. And when she got in the car, I did tell her, I said, you look really nice. And, she clearly wasn't offended. She took it all in stride. She thanked me. And then when I dropped her off, I was dropping her off at the Bellagio, well, obviously I wanted a nice tip, and I knew, flattery usually works. And I said, look, you really look fantastic. Men will struggle to breathe when you walk in the room. And then she gave a little laugh, and she was quite obviously pleased. And she did give me $5 tip. So ultimately it did work. But see, here's the thing. If it was a man like Greg, if it was you, I don't know, she might have said, oh, the driver was trying to come on to me, when in reality, I know you would be doing exactly the same thing, trying to get a bigger tip, really, that's all it would be. So, yeah, I kind of see exactly what Greg said to me about it's not really been a two-way highway, but how do we figure out, how do we find a happy medium? I am, honestly, at this stage, I'm a bit confused, and I find myself erring on the side of caution a lot of times with both men and women, because I don't want to harass I genuinely don't. I don't want to make people uncomfortable, and I've seen in the past, because I worked in the hospitality industry, I worked in a restaurant quite a bit, as a waitress, as a manager, and so I've seen where men were clearly, to me, because it's assumed men always like to be complimented by women, or men really enjoy it when women flirt with them or come on to them. Not always. I know that I've seen quite a few times when men were clearly uncomfortable by the advances of women. Mind, it depends on the woman. For instance, when I lived in New Zealand, I worked for that restaurant called The Old Church, that was owned by this American woman named Karen. And, well, for starters, Karen had a habit to get drunk while she was at the restaurant. And I mean drunk off her face. I don't mean tipsy. And she made all kinds of inappropriate comments to a lot of people, men, women, staff, guests, whomever. And, they were not hardly ever, they were sexual, but at some point she did make a couple of them. And I could see people cringing, but kind of feeling uncomfortable, because she was the owner, never mind the manager, she was the owner. And of course, as a manager, I couldn't say anything to her. And in New Zealand, things are slightly different. It's not America. So not to say you can't sue anyone for sexual harassment. You obviously can, but it's not as widespread. So anyhow, there we go. All the specific examples, I really would like to hear some stories and opinions. Please do contribute. Let's talk about this.